Thank you once again for another amazing session. Or let me put it in another perspective. Thank you once again for joining another amazing session in ACE Creative Connect, a creative and tech community where we have trainings, collaborations, and we network with each other as creative and tech professional in one unique community together that is created for creative and tech professional by creative and tech professional. Welcome to the Product Design 101 part 2, where we're going to be having our facilitator. We're going to be having an amazing training with us, where he's going to be taking us nosedive through a practical session with us on how to use Figma. Last week, we had a very beautiful session in which our facilitator was able to take us through the basics of product design 101. And in that session, he took us what product design is all about. And he didn't just take us through what product design was all about. He was able to take us through a presentation in which we were able to learn various aspects of what makes product designer unique, and not just unique, what makes a good product design product successful. And that was an amazing session that we had with Mr. Elijah. Now in this session, we're going to be taking something that is going to be practical, and in this session our facilitator is going to be going through what we call a 100% practical session, where he's going to be delving into how to use Figma. Now, for those that are familiar with product design, and not just product design, that are familiar with UI UX, one of the main software that is being used for product design, that's digital product design, or UI UX, for everybody that are familiar, is Figma. Now, one thing is that what Figma is used for interface designs, both for desktop application or for mobile application. So it's one of the most powerful tool that is used in product design. So that's why our facilitator, Mr. Elijah Ogunjole, has deemed it fit for himself that product design 101 will not be complete without him taking a practical session. And last week he agreed that he's going to be taking, or he's going to be going deep dive into how to use the Figma software. He's going to put us through how to get familiarized with the user's interface of Figma. And he even went further to say that he's going to take it personally upon himself to ensure that he doesn't just go through the interface of Figma. We are going to be getting our hands dirty on how to use Figma as a software to create various users interface for mobile app. You understand what I'm saying right now? We're going to familiarize ourselves and acclimatize ourselves with how Figma works. So, Mr. Elijah, thank you so much for taking your time to be in this session. This is very crucial. Why? Because one of the most popular product design software or UI UX design software that is out in the market is Figma. Other UI UX softwares that is also popular out there is Adobe XD. Adobe XD is owned by Adobe, which a lot of us are familiar with in the creative ecosystem. And beyond that, we also have InVision. InVision can also be used for wireframing, prototyping, UI UX design, and many more. But one of the most popular, almost industry standard, is Figma. So Mr. Elijah is going to be taking us through step by step how to get started using Figma in product design. So thank you so much for everybody for being here. ACE Creative Connect is a creative and tech community that is being powered by ACE Creative Community, where creative and tech professionals come together, collaborate, network, and they grow. And what we do is that we do engaging events like this, webinars, and various training to ensure that all our members become relevant and sought after in the creative and tech ecosystem. Our belief is that once you become an ACE Creative community member and you join ACE Creative Connect, which is our web platform, for a space of 6-7 months, if you are committed to attending our various sessions, which ranges from graphic design, front-end development, UI UX, product design, video editing, AI, and many other engaging programs that we have in the community, we believe that just in the space of 6 months, you will be able to grow in your creative and tech journey. So ACE Creative Community and its products has created various touching points that would help you in your creative journey. Our vision is to build your big brother that will work hand that will work with you, holding your hands. You understand what I'm saying right now, and help you in all your basic challenges. We are in the month of May 2024. For those that are joining this session via YouTube, and one thing you will know is that we have more engaging programs and more engaging events that we're already putting together for our community members. So you cannot afford not to join what is Creative Connect. For those that are going to be watching this session on YouTube, we're going to be dropping the link on the description below for you to be able to join our WhatsApp group, our Telegram group, and also for you to create an account on Ace Creative Connect. Join the amazing community that we have so that you'll be able to grow in your creative and tech community. You cannot live life on your own. You cannot be an island on your own. It takes a community to raise a child. It takes a community to build a career. That's what is creative, what community is, what's all about. A big brother whereby we all come together and we grow. Now, beyond that, while we wait for our facilitator to set up, we have an academy called Ace Creative Academy. And Mr. Elijah takes sessions in that academy. So if you want to have an elaborate training in product design, or you want to have an elaborate training in UI UX. For the UI UX course, it's a 1-month training, 1-year mentoring. For the product design course, it's a little bit much more elaborate. It's a 2-3 months training with 1 year mentoring, where we delve into the world of product design. And you also have a certificate. Do you get what I'm saying right now? There you'll be able to get your hands dirty. Now, these masterclass sessions that we have, obviously it's practical that in a space of 2 hours, there's little that we can cover. But this consists, you're going to be having one-on-one session with the likes of Mr. Elijah, who is also a facilitator of Ace Creative Academy. But beyond that, you also meet other industry professionals like myself and other alumni and other industry professionals are going to be coming to come and teach you the rudiments of UI UX. So please ensure you go to acecreativeacademy.com/product design. We're going to drop in the link below, and I'm also going to be dropping the link for you to register. Session starts for those that are joining on YouTube. You can always join every month. A new session always starts. You get what I'm saying right now? But for those that are in this call, that are joining this live session, the next session is going to be starting June 3rd. So please ensure that you enroll today. For those that are not located in Lagos, Nigeria, where the academy is, we have both online courses and we have both physical courses. So you have no excuse not to join. We all know that in the product design industry or in the tech ecosystem, product designers are one of the most highly paid. You get career in the industry. And the reason why is because they're the brainchild to ensure that a product becomes successful. If you want to deploy if you want to deploy a mobile app or a web application in the end-to-end production company, in the end-to-end journey of the production of a mobile app or the production of a particular product, the product designer is sacrosanct or is important, and it's also crucial to ensure the successful development of that. Do you get what I'm saying right now? It's the responsibility of the product designer to ensure that the user's interface, the design thinking, the end-to-end customer journey, the end-to-end user's journey, the end-to-end client journey for that particular product, the mobile app, the web application. Do you get what I'm saying right now? It's very seamless. So that's why they are highly sought after and highly paid. So you cannot afford not to enroll for the course starting in June. Mr. Elijah is going to be giving us more information as we go on today. So thank you so much for joining, Mr. Ebuka. It's good to have you, Mr. Moses, Mr. John Terry, and every other person that is in this call. We see you. We acknowledge you. We appreciate that you're joining this session, and we believe we're going to have a wonderful time. Mr. Elijah, good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. Can you hear me, Mr. Elijah?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening.
All right. Beautiful.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. Good evening. So I'm dropping the floor for you, and I'm gonna jump into my laptop too to also go through this amazing journey with you on how to use Figma and other aspects in product design. It's going to be a 2 hours experience, and I'm sure I can promise that it's going to be an experience that you will not just enjoy, you'll be glad you're a part of. See you on the next side of this session. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome back to class. Right. Thank you, Mr. Demola, for once again the opportunity to, wrap up my class, the one I started last week. So I hope you can all hear me. Right. Hope I'm audible. All right. So what I'll be doing today is just basics. Last week, if you're in the class, I spoke about the theory part of product design, talking about the UI, UX, and product design in itself. And if I'm to recap what I said last week, is that product design, right? A product designer, understand the business part of this job. They understand the business part of the job, and they are able to do beyond just design and the experience of the users. They go beyond the aesthetics, to experience. And of course, they have stakeholders meeting, and they understand the business part of the journey in product design. While a UI designer is just focused on layout, fonts, visuals, the aesthetics generally, the beauty of the whole process. Then a UX designer, basically, they do more of research and, of course, the interaction, making life easy for the end users, making life easy for the end users. So understanding these various sections or these various aspects in product design, I'm going to be jumping straight into my Figma, and I'm going to be picking 1, 2 areas of UI UX, but we won't be doing that of a core product designer, which is the business part. We won't have time to talk about the business part of the whole thing, but we're just going to be doing basic introduction to Figma, and I'm going to be testing the waters with a project to jump on. This is a real project I'm supposed to work on, right? And this is my first sketch, but this first sketch, I think we're going to just work with it. I have other sketch which I'm going to be using for the project, but this is the first idea I have, while I'm coming up with the whole process for that project. So it's a, if we end up doing something very nice, right? I can also present that to my my other colleagues if it will really work. But basically, these are the process I follow as a person. These are the process I follow. I think one of the first thing I do is to sketch. While I'm doing that, let me just share my screen. Okay, let me share my entire screen. Okay, can we all see the screen now? All right. Okay, can we see the screen? Mr. Demola is. Mr. Demola, can you see my screen? All right, okay. So
yes,
good.
please.
Everyone is seeing the screen. All right. Now, these are the process I follow when designing. Basically, the first thing is to sketch what the idea would be. And the sketch doesn't come as the first thing. The sketch comes after we have breakdown, why we have clients brief, and we have a lot of brainstorming, between myself, the stakeholders, and of course, the developer. Please always carry along the developer when you're trying to come up with anything, because I noticed that in the new generation product designers, digital product designers, the moment they see anything new in design, all the fuzzy, they try to include that into designing of product, and sometimes it makes that product, unrealistic for the developers. At the end, you see that developers are having back and forth. Why not go with something very simple, basic interactions, and let's have sophisticated product out there. If you check your GT app currently, there's not too much fuzzy, but they've really stepped up, and we are enjoying their service. I think GT is one of the best, as one of the best bank app so far. They almost make everything seamless, from their platform. UBA is also trying in that area also. And if you check some other fintech app like PiggyVest, Cowrywise, if you check Fair Money, you'll see how almost every second these guys are upgrading their platform, just to have a better user's experience. And you'll notice that there is no much fuzzy. And what I'm calling a fuzzy is the animation you want to include. I understand that stakeholders might want to really push you to do a lot of action, just put a lot of things to catch something catchy. Your catchy area can be your design. It doesn't have to necessarily be the animation process, because basically your animation in your product that I've understand so far is just playing the part of interaction. It's playing the part of interaction in your design as a UX designer. So in UX design, I know some of us must have been hearing about interaction designers. Those are the people that talks about the flow and processes of users' experience. So where do we go next from the splash screen, which is usually the first screen we see when we are designing a product. Splash screen is usually that screen you see first that displays the logo and disappear in like 5 to 4 seconds. You understand? Those are splash screen. From there, where do we go to? From that splash screen, what are the things we are trying to push out there for our end users? Sometimes you see, I'm going to be using a lot of fintech app. So sometimes if you go to Piggyverse, for instance, after the splash screen, right, the next thing you see is that they try to educate you about what that app is for. You see like something like, oh, this product makes you save faster, some blah blah blah, and some other kind of stuff like that. You understand? And you have the advantage, to skip those processes also. Those are part of the things we consider as a UX designer. We are trying to, at a point, make you know what this product is all about, but at the same time, you have the chance of saying, I don't want to, because I already understand the processes. You understand? So those are the things you should consider when you are dealing with your interaction. Not too much of action, animated processes, that it will be hard for developers to even write the JavaScript code, right? And one of the things that will set you apart, and make you a very good designer is you having basic understanding of how web development works. Is another thing that a lot of people don't know. If you want to compare, if you see a guy that is already in tech, has understanding of how JavaScript, HTML, and all of these things work, and you see someone that is just coming from his graphic design field, or is just coming to the tech industry and they are designing, there will be difference in their design. You see, if the person with idea of JavaScript and HTML, web development generally, dive into UX design, they understand the pain of developers. They understand the pains of developers, and they will not do designs that are too, complicated, for designers, or do design that are too complicated for themselves in design. I hope I'm communicating, right? So let's talk less about all of those, but I just need to hint you guys about what you should consider, before you start designing, before you jump into your workspace, your Canva, and you start designing. Okay, so this is the sketch we are going to be working with. It's just 2 screens, right? I just want to work with it. I have other screens, as I said earlier on, but I just want us to work with these 2 things. Now, in this project, right, I'm going to be designing, and at the same time, I'm going to be doing 1 or 2 interactions. I'm going to be doing 1 or 2 interactions. Basically, I'm going to be doing 1 or 2 interactions, and just for you to understand the basics of interaction in product, in UI design, generally, right? We have the sketch, and usually the sketch, we have low fidelity, we have high fidelity wireframe. This is a wireframe, so the technical name is called wireframe. This sketch that you have here. Now, this is a low fidelity wireframe. Why? Because it is in fact, is at the lowest level of it. This is just a hand sketch, you understand? Now we want to move it into something of mid-level fidelity, or mid-fidelity. There is low, mid, and high. Low, mid, high, you understand? So the low part is where you just sketch something rough, and the mid part is where you put those things together and it's already looking like it. Then high fidelity is the real design in itself, with other interactions in there. So we are going to be moving to the mid fidelity stage of this design process, where I'm going to be teaching you how to create cards. So let me make my page white, so when I'm typing by the time I start designing, I like designing on a black Canva. I think it push the design out, and it makes me just love my work environment. I know that a lot of people love white background, right? So before I start introducing us to the tools, let me just list some of the things we'll be looking at in our class today. So I'm going to be talking about component. Just talk about the basics of component. Talk about the basics of auto layout. Talking about the basics of auto layout. I'm not going deep into auto layout. I'm just talking about the basics of it, auto layout. Then I will talk about card. I'm going to talk about card. So what are cards? Now, and of course, we're going to talk about Um, what again? Let's talk about scrolling. Yeah, we're going to talk about scrolling, of course, and that scrolling is going to be in two ways, which is part of the interactions. We have the horizontal, um, we have the sorry about that. We have the horizontal, and of course we have the vertical scroll. We have the vertical. So we are going to talk about these two stuff, and I guess that's all. That's all. Auto layout, component, cards, and scrolling. So that's all. And of course, I'm going to introduce us to how we can get icons online. One of the platforms you can use. There are different ways you can get your icons online. Basically, there are different ways, but um, I'm just going to show you my own process, and you can always make research online. Another thing I'm going to advise before we start moving on is that you need to follow some set of people on Instagram, your LinkedIn account. These are people who are more like the senior designers, and they drop one or two designs almost every day, right? And this will help you, build up your design skills generally. Now, the ways of learning is that little from here, little from there. So you learn little from me, you learn little from someone else, you pick another idea from another person, and before you know it, that is what builds up your experiences. You understand? All of the things I know today, they are not things I sat down with in one class. Yes, I am an alumni of UTIVA. I have attend some other online platforms where I led, I've done my Google UX for, fundamental UX courses. I've done domestica courses on UI UX. I've done a lot of courses, taking up things up just to understand. But I won't lie to you, these I learned little from UTIVA, little from domestica, little from Google platform, and that is what makes me unique in my own little way. You understand? Because I'm picking, from different source generally. So, and I think that these little things I want to share with you is going to really drive your creativity if you really want to go deep into product design, right? It's going to really encourage you to want to do more. So I'm going to remove this and I'm going to delete it. I think last week we were, trying to work around that. I'm going to delete this also, and this is what we have. This is what we have. This is it's a church application that is going to help processes for ushers, for choir ministers, and for some other department, basically. But in product design generally, one of the things you should focus on is one feature per time. What I mean by one feature per time? So currently, based on the process for the design we are working on, with my team, what we are doing is that we really want to focus on the ushers area of the project first before we move to the choir section and build their own features. So what is it that the ushers are doing every Sunday? The ushers are taking attendance in the church, and by counting the adults, the children, and counting also they also count, they count money. Yeah, of course, they count money at the end of the service. So those are the basic, activities that the ushers does every Sunday. Now, we want to remove this manual method of taking counts by writing on paper. I see that a lot of, and how does this idea came? The owner of this idea, which is my friend, a developer, is also happens to be usher also. And he noticed that these processes of taking pen and paper to count numbers of people in church is annoying. As a developer, he sat down and was like, oh, how do I make life easier for myself? I have phone, of course, and I can design things. Okay, so I think I should just design something that will make life easier for me. Let me just count and input everything at once. And of course, at the end, it's going to generate a report for me, and I'll submit that to the pastor. And it was a very lovely process when he explained the whole thing to me. You understand? And this, as I said earlier, this is my first sketch, right? Based on the conversation we had. We have other ones, but I'm just going to play around with this. All right, so back to this, we have a screen. So what's the first thing you need to know? This is Figma. We are using this opportunity to also learn the basics of Figma for those who are just coming into product design, UI, UX design for the first time. Okay, so when you check your Figma, right, from my Mac, I have my Figma installed, right? I have my Figma installed. Now you click on your Figma, it brings it up. Then your Figma homepage usually will look something like this with all of your projects and everything you are working on. Then, of course, if you click on plus, it's going to take you to new design file or new FigJam board. Last week we spoke about FigJam a little, you understand, and the fact that you can use FigJam for all of your UX work. You get everything that relates to documentation, you know, the brainstorming and all of those. You can use a FigJam for that. Then for your design aspect, you use your new design file, which is the actual Figma design environment for you. Now, I don't need to click on new design because I already have this design class already here. But should in case you are wondering how will it look, let's just click on it. Once you click on it, it takes you to, you know, it's going to take time to load based on your internet speed, right? The internet speed this evening is very fast from my end, and that happens in a few seconds, right? So should in case it takes time to load, just check, might be your internet, it takes time because this is a web-based application. Right now, if you check the top section, we are going to see on title, you can change it to product design class, or let's say product design 101, right? Based on whatever you want it to be, you have that here, and you know that is it. And one thing about Figma is that it auto save for you. Now, if you don't have the download file, the Figma file, you can do that on your web browser also. So don't let me waste time on that. So when you come to your work environment, you see the Figma logo itself with a drop-down icon, right? And if you click on it, you see file, edit, view, object, text, arrange, vector. We have the plugin section, but there's a shortcut for this, which I'm going to show you in a GIF. Then we have widget, we have preference, and we have library. Then, of course, the last part is help and account. So we are not going to be diving into every other part of this. And the first one, which I wish to actually dive into, you don't even need to do that because once you come to your landing page just like this, the process is also here. Basically, it's the same thing. So you have things to work around there if you need to do something. If you want to work on your view. So let's say, for example, when you come to your Figma, the ruler that is showing at this side, this is ruler. Now, if you click on it and drag, that is how it's going. You are going to have your ruler. So let's assume you don't have your ruler and you wish to bring your ruler to your work area. What you do is go to the Figma logo at the edge, then go to view and look for ruler. Yeah, so this is ruler, the third one. If I uncheck this, you see that my ruler just disappeared. And if I should go back to view, you are going to see this appear back. So another disclaimer, you know, I told you last week, this is absolute beginners class. And that is why I'm trying to take us through all of these processes. It's not an advanced class. It's not intermediate class. It's absolute beginners class. So, and of course, I'm going to be jumping some things, right? And, you know, come to our class, you enjoy, you know, other stuffs. Okay, so we have that. Then the next two you're going to be working around with a lot is the move to, which if you press V on your keyboard, is going to help you navigate that. And of course, if you press K on your keyboard, you are going to have scale 2. Now, how does it work? So let's say, for example, I have different objects on my work area, right? I have different objects. If you want to duplicate this, just hold your Alt key on your keyboard if you're using Windows. For those using Mac, hold your Option key, then drag the object. You are going to duplicate that way. So let's assume I have two objects here and I need to move them around. So the move to is going to help me do that. You know, if I do mark queue selection and I move them around, this is what I get. And if I click an individual object, I can move that object around just like that. Now, but if I want to scale an object, I will advise you don't just scale object with your move to. You see what is happening? I'm not having these diagonal increase and decrease. I want there to be equal increase and decrease. And the way I'm doing it is as if the top section is just getting wide. And of course, you can probably mistake and you do what you don't want, you know, in the process of trying to adjust the size. So your best bet is to use your scale 2, or you press K on your keyboard. Then once it changes, you know, to your right side, you see that there is a scale. There's a scale, what's it called, property dialog that came up. Now I can decide to say I want to scale this 2 times, and there's a drop down on it. How big do you want to scale it? Do you want to scale it 10 times? Do you want to scale it 2 times? Do you want to scale it 3 times? So if I need this particular size on the screen, in in like multiples of 4, I just click on 4, and of course I have it as big, 4 times the size. And if I need to reduce it back to the 1 which it was initially, you see that happen, is back to 1. Or you go to the edge and you scale it now, or you scale it from side. Anyhow you do it, it's going to scale. And of course, the more you are increasing or decreasing, the scale number also changes at the side. And of course, it's also giving us the privilege to adjust things around. But our advice is don't play. Our advice is just play around. While you are on your, what's it called, Figma, right? And for you to explore more things, you will do. Now, the advantage of scale 2 is that if you need to scale icon, that is the best bet for you to scale icon, reduce icon, increase icon, or image. That's the best bet for you. Please don't use your, what's it called? Don't use your move to do that. Now, the action part, which we are moving into, which is the next 2 in our Figma, is the frame. And that is the icon after our move to. We have frame in that section, we have section, and we have slides. I'll be talking about frame alone, right, for today. Now, the moment you click on frame, if you check to your right side, you're going to see phone, tablet, desktop, presentations, Word, paper, and the other stuffs we have. Now, these are default sizes you can work with. Now, when I take graphics class also, and usually what I tell my student is that, sizes cannot be on. You should not underestimate size. You should not overlook size when you are designing anything. The first thing you need to know is the size of whatsoever you are designing. You need to know size, and because that will help you have a guide. You'll be able to build your grid system, your margin, your padding around your work area. Then, of course, the spacing you need, it is based on the size of your work area that you'll be able to determine the spacing, how big or small, how wide or slim the spacing is going to be, you understand? So size is a paramount thing you need to take note of. Now, in Figma, size is measured in pixels, while in normal design generally we have inches, centimeter, we have and other stuff. Now, I think in Figma also you can change it to inches. In the recent versions, you can change some other stuff, but pixel is the way we move in web design generally, and I would advise you stick to pixels, right? Then we are working with phone, right? Remember what we want to design. We want to design this screen for this particular project, a church application. Then if I should come here, what I just did now is just switch between the file I opened initially and the new one I just opened. That's all. And if you check my tab at the top, I'm just clicking within the tabs. It's not muting. Don't get confused. I'm just clicking between. If I have another one, if I click another one and I create another design, I can switch within my design space, my design tabs, but I don't need this, so I need to close it. Yes, close tab. All right, so yeah, let me continue the explanation. Now we have sizes. We want to work with phone. Now, last week I was saying that, well, based on things I learned so far and what has actually worked for me, yeah, your width should always be 375. I think 375 work even for a bigger screen and a lesser screen. You get, and it has been tested and proven, by some other guys in the industry. Someone like Ozenoa, some of us know Ozenoa. Ozenoa is a very top guy in the industry. I follow him back to back, on some of his design. In fact, I attend some of his basics class. Anytime he's throwing a basic class, I'm always, part of the student in that class. And that is the way we learn, because I know there's an approach I use and there's an approach someone else will use. And there might be situation I'm in an organization and they want me to use that particular approach. But because I was not humble enough to learn, I won't be able to do that. So please be humble, go to classes and learn new things. Now, from various classes, I realized that 375, which is iPhone 8 and iPhone 13 mini, is your best guess if you're trying to work on a mobile. I'm going to tell you this over and over again. Till tomorrow, maybe when I, stumble on another tutorial and it is proven again that it is good. Now, you notice we have other screen. Am I now telling you that, oh, this other screen does not work? No, well, I'm not saying that. Basically, what I'm saying is that these two sizes, which is 375, and if you notice they are both 375 in width, is that if you position your design 375 inside the iPhone 14, which is like the biggest of it, and of course the smallest one, which is Android large or small, it will still work for you. Why? How do I know it's going to work for you? Is that by the time we start designing now, you're going to see the way I'm going to do my margin to the left and right, which means that all of my content is not even up to 375 as width. So if my design is inside of Android large, which is 360 in width, I will still have my design seated well in the middle with a little spacing on the left and right. And if I put my design in a bigger screen, I will have it positioned also in the middle, but with a bigger left and right, margin, which from both end, I am actually, working on a saver side. Now, you might want to be asking me, oh, what of responsiveness? What of being responsive? Now, if you check applications or web, you will see that the spacing to the left and right usually sometimes are always different. Now, this is the idea. In the stage of conversion, when the developer is working, right? If they are using Tailwind CSS or Bootstrap or whatsoever kind of responsive stack or framework they are trying to use to develop the application, usually the way they write the code behind is that from 360 to this particular, let's say 400, take this particular size, or take this particular position. So what the program they're writing is that if your design is within 360 to 430, this is the alignment it should attain. Now, if you design and you use 375, as you're designing after you add your margin padding to it, now that code will work for your design. That code will work. Now, these are technical things that you will not. I'll be able to see, my sketch, and I'll be able to work around, around it also. So I'm going to change this back to black because I really love, having that dark background for my design. I don't know why. Even when I'm writing code, of course, in my visual code, I love, black interface. Right. Okay. So let's move on. I'm going to repeat that process again. Click on my frame and select iPhone 8. Then I'm going to bring it to where it's going to be more visible for us to see. Then, of course, to your left side, the names of your frame, the names of your object is going to be there. I'm going to double click and I'll change this to landing page. I'll just call it landing page, right? That is how to name your frame. And of course, so let's say, for example, I need multiple frames. I can decide to hold my option key on my Mac and, drag to have it. On your Windows, you hold your Alt key, then you drag it. Now, once I do it once and I need to repeat it, the next thing I will do is Command D to repeat the process. But on your Windows, you do Control D to repeat the process. You understand? If you need multiple frame or work area, that is very simple. You hold your option key or your Alt key on your keyboard, then you drag to the destination. Once you are there and you're satisfied and you need other frames, Command D on your Mac and Control D on your Windows to repeat the process. And this same process, I think it works more in every Adobe softwares and even on Corretro, it works that way. Now, that's the first thing. Then the second thing that I want to talk about is my layout grid. Now, this is a very important aspect in your design. Let me just type it out. Layout grid, right? I want to talk about my layout grid. Now, what is it about layout grid? Is that layout grid, it just helps you to really, set your margin around your work area. And of course, it is a kind of guide for you not to go out when you are designing, not to go outside some areas when you are designing. Let me just put it in that layman explanation that way. So I'm going to select my frame. That's the first thing I'll do. Select the frame, then the properties of that frame comes out to your left side, right? To your right side. So out of one of the property is layout grid, and I'm going to click on layout grid. You notice at the moment I click on layout grid, I have my dotted lines like 2B. Some of us remember that exercise book we used back then when we were just drawing up 2B. You understand, right? And those are the exercise with boxes, and it's going to help us, with our writing. Then, now it's the same idea, with this, just want to guide us through our design process so that at least when we are designing, we don't arrange things outside the scope of the layout grid. Then the next thing I'm going to do is click on the icons beside the grid. And of course, there's a drop down here, and I'm going to select column because I'm working with column. Right now, for a web, hopefully we have time to design web interface. Also, you'll be able to understand the processes needed for web. Also, now for web based application or websites you are designing, it's a 12 column grid that you work with. In fact, that's a standard when you're writing your code in Bootstrap, Tailwind, CSS. You get, and you need to understand these things as a designer, because if you don't understand these things, you want to design things outside scope for your developers, and it makes life hard for them. You understand? So, but for our mobile app, I'm going to be sticking with 8. Now, one of my mentors asked me, is a strong designer, and he's just coming into product design. I come into product design before him, and he was like, Elijah, why don't you use 9? Why is it not 9? What if I want to divide my screen into 3 places? If I want to have 3 boxes? And I was like, well, even with 8 and 9, there's nothing you cannot do. So let's assume that the extra one is what we are going to use to do our margin. That was the response I gave him. That let's assume that you already have 9, but you are using the extra 1 column to set your margin to the left and to the right. And how do I set that? I'm going to set 24. In fact, if you check your, I think is material documentation for UI, right? There's a standard for mobile app where you use 24 pixels to your left and right. So you notice that after I set my count to 8, then my margin, I set that to 24 to the left and right. You get, so you see that my column now shrinks to the middle, having space to the left and right. Now these, I'm going to reduce the gutter between them to 10. That is the way I work. I reduce the gutter to 10. I know that some other set of people might have other number they want to work with, but I feel over time 10 works for me, right? And it has worked for most of the people I learned from and watched their videos. 10 work. So of course you are free to make use of other things if you want. If you see something somewhere else, you can free. And another thing I want you to be flexible with the way you learn is that when you get to some organizations, they already have design system. They have previous product designer that has already set a design system for them. You won't want to go there and scatter the whole thing based on your own knowledge. Oh, this is how I do it, so I need to set it this way. No, learn how to work with what other people have already set down that is already working. Now, if you need to set up a new design system, you can do that and do your presentation to the organization. And maybe the next project you are working on, you want to jump on, you can use that. You can use that. But for an existing project, just stick with whatsoever they have there. So now I'm taking my time to talk so that you two can also follow and set up your design. Please, we are designing together. I know some of us cannot really talk now until we make you a speaker, but I'm taking my time so that you can also design, at the same time, try to work on it. This is a practical class, not just a theory class like last week. Please work alongside with me. Thank you. Okay, so we have count as 8, we have margin as 24, we have gutter as 10. So I just repeated myself so you know what to set when you are doing your layout grid. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to close this dialog box. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to set my ruler also, because there are times I want to do something like this. Click on the frame and uncheck this eye icon to have something like this. And when I do that, how do I know that, oh, this is where it's this is where my margin is to the left, this is where my margin is to the right? How do I know that? No, this is what will help you know that. Just go to your ruler and click on it and drag it out. click and drag. So I'm going to do the second one, click, then drag. Then I'll drag this. So if I should click on my frame as a whole again and I uncheck or check this eye icon, you see that I have my ruler to the left and right. So what does this mean? It means that whatsoever I'm designing, especially text, should not go outside this line, should never go outside this line. And if I'm designing to the right side also, nothing should go outside. Now, the only thing that can actually go outside that line, usually, even in print design, is image. And it's not like the essential part of that image. It's just like to blend, the edge of your design, kind of a thing. That is the only thing that you can have outside. But anything relating to text, please, it should not go outside it, right? Because it will, make your design look good. Now I'm going to click on this back and check this. So we have that. Now remember that I have 24 to my left margin and 24 to my right margin. I need to set my top margin also. Now that top margin works for where I set my time and the icon for battery and all of other stuffs. And how do I do that? What I do is that I select my box rectangle 2. And how do you get your rectangle 2? This is making me now to go back to the tools and introduce you to that 2, right? Then, of course, sometimes you in your work area, you might have something like this, and you're like, where is the 2? Please just count your icons at this top section. Count it from the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th one, just click on the drop-down icon. That is where you get your rectangle 2. Should I repeat myself again? In case your own work area is looking like this, you are not seeing the rectangle 2 initially. What you should do is count your icons from the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th one, click on the drop down, you see the rectangle 2, or you press R on your keyboard for that. Then, of course, I'm going to bring this out. Then what I'll do is set the width to 24 and the height to 24. Yeah, so I'm going to wait for you like 1 second. Set the width of that box to 24. And now at this time, I'm going to uncheck, so we can have something like this. So you'll be able to see it well. Let's make this black, so you'll be able to see what I'm working. So this box I just created now, I set the width to 24 and the height to 24. Why? Because the width 24, when I place it at this edge, just click on it, and I should have manually set this to the edge, but just check this thing I'm about to do. It's the lifesaver. Click on the box, then to your right side, you'll see the alignment properties. Click on the left align, then click on the top, align top, so you have something like that. Now, if I should zoom out, now you see what I have. You now notice that the what's it called? The ruler is as if the ruler is more than way beyond 24. It's like 24 point something. Now to get it accurately, and of course, if I check my distance back, if I should check my columns back, you will notice that indeed I didn't set it well because I didn't zoom out the other time. So I'll have gotten it right initially. So I'll just set this to be right, you get. Then of course, when you look at this box at the edge, I want to get 24 margin at the top also. That's why I set the box to the height of 24. So I'll drag my ruler from the top also and do this, so I can get 24. Now the bottom, don't set the margin for the bottom, because the moment the content in your work area is getting increased, you are dragging you will increase the height of it. So for example, if I have my content get to the edge and I still need more content, I'll hold my command on my keyboard, like for Mac, and for Windows, of course, you hold your control, then you will left click and drag down. That is how to drag things down. If you have content in this work area and you drag down without pressing the command or control, your content is also going to drag. And I think you should take note of that also. When we are working, I'm going to show you more. So Command Z works everywhere like magic to undo, and Control Z on your Windows work everywhere like magic to undo also. So currently, if you look at my work area, and you will notice that I have my grid system or my guide set for this particular project. Now I'm good to go. I know that nothing is going to the edge of that top and nothing is going to the left and right. So I'm good to go. This is the first stage in your design process, setting your size and having a good layout grid for your work. That is the first thing you need to do. Please, it looks as if what's this thing this guy is doing, but it is important. If you are working with big organization and you need to set design standards and the likes, you know, your design standards, your design processes start from this thing I've just done, right? Start from here. Please keep that in mind, right? And let's delete this layout grid that I have here. So I want to believe that every one of us have our screen set like this, right? And remember what we are trying to design. This is what we are trying to design, right? So if you look at the top, we have icon to the top, which is a burger menu. We call it burger menu. Sorry, I'm going to take water. Yeah, it's not easy to talk. Right. Okay. So we have our burger menu to the top, and we have another icon. Now, at this point, I don't even know what the other icon is going to be. Probably it's going to be for the profile, or it's going to be for something else, or the logo of the church that is using this application part-time. I don't know yet, but I know there's going to be something there because we need to welcome the users back to the dashboard, and we need to create their profile in such a place where it's easier for them to access. Now, there are two places I can place the profile for them to access, either at this top section here, or to my, if you notice the other frame is the menu, you know, pushed out from the side. You get the side menu, right? I can also place it here also, but and of course I can do it at the down part. You know, there's a lot of applications that are at the down part. You see profile, home, and some other stuff like that. Settings, you know, I need to place all of this in a place where it will be much more easier for my end users to be able to navigate through. I don't want to make life hard for them, right? So, but for now, based on sketch, and it happens, it's normal for you to sketch and at a point don't even know what will be at that section yet. No, you can do that because later ideas will come. In fact, the ideas may actually come from you having meeting with the developer or having meeting with the stakeholders, and they'll be like, oh, okay, why don't we do this here? Why don't we do that here? And of course, let me tell you one thing, in product design generally, there is no stupid idea. There is no stupid idea, please. So once, and one of the best way I test my product is that once I finish designing, I give it randomly to someone that does not even know about the project, and I'll ask them to do one or two things. And that's the process of testing. Remember that in our design, what's it called now? Design thinking phases. We have empathy, we have ideate, we have the brainstorm part, which is the idea, we have the prototype, we have the testing. So the testing part of it, you know, is you giving it to random person, random individual to just test your product and see if they'll be able to navigate through it. So having that in mind, when you are designing also, always take advice from anyone, you know. So at least, because there are some things when you're designing, you don't even see yourself. Why? Because you understand the project very well, and you feel like if I jump on this, I know how to do this and this. Please, someone else is not thinking the way you are thinking. You are thinking that way because you're a creative person and you are the one designing. You know, a random person might not even think in that direction. So please have empathy, you know, think like them. Place things like, you know, you are seeing the application also for the first time and you really want to navigate with ease. Having said that, so what's the next thing I'm going to talk about? The icons. How do I get my icon? Right? And it's the same question for you. How do you get your icon? Now, if you count your tools from the top section, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The seventh one, of course, when you click on it, you are going to see component, plugins, and widgets. So I'm going to click on my plugins, then look for Iconify. You notice that I have this set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 plugins I use frequently. Now, and Iconify is one of them. So once you click on Iconify, it brings up a dialog box like this. And of course, the last thing I searched for is menu, and it's still here. So I think this is last week while I was working on this project. Right. Okay, so you can click for menu, just look for menu, or you say burger, just click burger menu. Any of the two works. If you do burger menu, you see that I still have the same icons in different formats. So best thing is just click menu. Right, and if you notice that there are material symbols, these are materials icon and other frameworks, you know, that most of your developers will use, you know, when developing, you know, in real time. So use something that they can easily have access to also, should in case they don't have access to your icons from your file, by the time you're setting out things for them. Now, so I'm going to pick the one that is thick, and this is it. I'll just place it here. Now you notice that it's very big. Now, please, I'm going to call our attention to this. This is one of the mistakes I see that a lot of people make. I've had students recently, and when it comes to them picking icons from Iconify, they tend to leave it this way. When you pick icons from Iconify, it comes with its own auto layout box. And that is that auto layout box or frame, let's call it frame. That is where you see the name of this particular icon. You see ION menu. Now, what I do usually is select it and press enter on your keyboard so that you can select the real vector, that's the real icon, then drag that icon out of it. You notice then I have my box and I have my icon. So this is good because there are sometimes you want to, let's do Control Z, right? And let me duplicate this particular guy so you understand what I'm saying. Alt on your keyboard to duplicate, or Option on your keyboard to duplicate. Don't forget that, please. Now, to the second one, I'm going to press enter so that I can select the actual icon, the vector itself. Then I'll delete the box. Now, if I'm to reduce the two sizes and I click K on my keyboard, or you select your scale tool, and I scale this down, right? If I scale this down, if I select this guy too and I scale it down, you see what happened? This guy is going to occupy more space because of the extra boxes, because of the extra box, within it. And it doesn't make sense. So if I should come here to my work area, let me bring the two icons here to my work area and make this one bigger so that we can all see. I think I should start working this way so that I can all see my screen, right? And I scale this one with the box and I want to position it to the side. So I'm going to scale it a little bit smaller. Press K on your keyboard to scale. Then I'll scale it, make it small as small as possible. And I position this using the box you get. Now, you see, I'm using that box to guide as a guide now. Then I have it at that edge. Now, this one without box, right? If I click my K and I scale it also, you see that. You see the difference. You see the difference. Now, this guy is seeing that box to tell you that, oh God, this thing is at the edge. But this other guy, the vector itself is getting to the edge. Now, usually when you are doing your auto layout, we're going to do that, like you are creating a button and you need to fix in icon to that button. Sometimes you see that some icons will fit in well, some icons will not fit in well. Those icons that does not fit in well, those are usually most times for me, those are the icons I forgot to remove their, box around them. So I'm going to delete this. So I'm sure we understand that part. So I'm going to position this here, based on my sketch. Based on my sketch, I have that there. So I'm going to position that here like that. So I'm going to come down a little bit. I won't go too much up. Right? Let me zoom out. I'm just going to put, right, that is good. Now I have that. So the next thing I'm going to do now is the next thing I'm going to do is design these cards. Remember I told you about cards and auto layout. Now card and auto layout, I'm going to work on everything together right here using this card. So what I want to have at this section is to have various cards for members, numbers of members, that attend the church, overall numbers of members, then overall numbers of children, overall numbers of teenagers, overall numbers of youth in the church. So I want to have a card for that also, so that if you click on each of those cards, it takes you to their section and you can add a new member. So for example, usually in most churches, teenagers have their own department and the teenagers coordinator want to get a count, of how many numbers of teenagers he or she has, in the teenage department. So these cards, they are not just there, they are features. Once I click on member, I want to see the overall member of the church. So that means that what is going to happen is that there's going to be calculation between addition of children, teenagers, youth, and adults. So there's going to be a card for adult also. Adult now signifies the married people. The married people, you understand? Now, usually in most churches, youth don't want to classify themselves as adults. There's a way most churches do that, you know. Some churches will say adult includes the youth and some, why some churches will say, okay, adult is just those who are married, while youth is still youth, you understand? And they usually do this because of, usually when they want to have like a single fellowship or single moments, you know, so they believe that youth should be singles, while adults should be those who are married. You know, depending, you know, I understand. I don't want to go too far into explanation of things, but this explanation in itself is what brings about the idea of me having cards. I didn't just come up with these cards here. I came up with that card idea because I understood the stakeholders' brief, and I realized that this is the way to best interpret that brief. I want to believe you get what I'm saying. So I know that that is the best way to interpret that brief, that there should be a breakdown in all of those things, you understand? So that if I need to add a new key child to the database of the children, if I click on this card for the child, it's going to take me to the section where I can add a new child. And the moment I do that, I'm finished. And I come back, 350 will turn to 351, right? So I'm already thinking for the developer. The developer does, you see that you are doing a lot of work as a product designer, right? You are doing a lot of work because you are even thinking for the developer. The developer, sorry about that. The developer in itself, you know, just want to write code, wants to, you know, see the algorithm of your processes. Okay, these are the algorithm for me to achieve these. But usually the developer sometimes does not understand all of these things. You know, product designer, you take them through the journey. That's the work of product designers and product managers. The two comes together to explain better to the developers what they are to do. You get? Okay, so let's go on. So what am I going to use to achieve this? You notice that the card, I have like 1, 2, based on my explanation, I have member, which is the general number. I have children, 2. I have the teenagers, 3, and I have the adult, 4. So I need 4 cards. But will I repeat designing 4 cards? No, I need to design just 1 card. Then I'll make that 1 card a component. Then, of course, I'll call the other components out. I'll call those components out, and I'll do whatever I want to do. Now, based on my sketch here, you notice that I have icon at the top. Then what that card, the name of the card, and the number of you know, whether member or children, that is that card, the information that card is giving me, you know, the number, the information is giving me. Now, this is only one idea out of many. You can rearrange your card in any way you want. I can decide to say, okay, the icon and the number should be at the top and member should be at the bottom. You understand? So I'm going to do 2 options, but please pay attention. This is how I'll go about it. I'll go first to my plugin, and okay, so I think I should go this route. I'm going to come here, select my Eclipse 2, which is for circle, hold my command or control on your keyboard. So the reason I'm holding my command Z, I'm holding my shift, not command. I'm going to hold my shift. Now, the reason I'm holding that shift is so I have a perfect circle, right? If it's CorelDRAW, you are going to hold control, but yeah, Figma, you are holding shift, right? Okay, so I hold my shift, done, if you have anything like that. So I have my shift here, and I have my circle, you know. If you notice to the width and height, I have 140, 140, right? So, and if I need to reduce it, press K on my keyboard, reduce it a little bit, and I have that here. Sorry, I'm not going too fast because this is absolute beginner's class, and I know that we have different methods at which we learn. So, for those who are fast learners, please, we apologize for those who are just catching up, trying to catch up. Let me explain thoroughly, and of course, by the time they come back to this video, they'll be able to really grab what I'm saying very well. So I have that for my icon, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to power clip something in it, and that is going to be image, you know. Then I'll come here to my avatar generator, click on it. Yeah, this requires that I want to insert image. So if I click on this, usually it takes time if your internet is slow. You notice that this guy is there now. You notice if I should zoom for you to see well, if I should say insert photo, it's going to come up with another guy there. Now, this does not really work for me for the icon. This does not work. I'm just trying to show us that this is possible. This is possible. Then I'll go back to my Iconify, and of course, I'll click on the Iconify to run. and I'll come here and say people. And when I say people, you see that I have multiple stuff to identify people. Now, this well will represent members, you know. We can use this better for. Now, when you are picking icons, be sure what you want to use initially. Are you using a solid fill icon or outline? Don't try to use outline for one and use solid fill, you know, colored. So what do I mean by it? See this one with just line. Don't try to pick this for, so let's say for members, I pick this guy for members. K on my keyboard to scale. K on my keyboard to scale this. So let's say I pick this guy for members. Then when I want to pick for adult, and I'll pick icon with color that is filled inside for that, something like this for it. No, it doesn't make sense. It defies the rules of consistency in your design. Please be consistent. If you are using an icon that is outline, use outline all through. If you're using an icon that has colored field inside, use that all through. Don't try to move from A to B as the idea comes to your head. It's not consistent and it's not good. It's not a good design system you are practicing. So I'm going to go for the ones that are filled inside, right? I think I'll go for this guy. Yeah. Then okay. Then I'll look for children also. So let's see if I can get icon for children, or I'll say children. Let me look for all of my icons at once. Let's see. I think I will use these guys also for now. There are better icons I can get out there online, but at least let's just walk around with these. You see what happened? I didn't press K on my keyboard and that icon is not good. So I'm going to do that again. Bring this guy. I'll press K on my keyboard. And of course, I can decide to come to this side. Let me close this. Click on this. And I'll say minimize to 0.25 times. That's smaller like that. And I'll say again, I want it to. Then if this is not that, I can decide to come and put in the figure myself. I can decide to say scale down to 0.10 times. So it's smaller like that. Anyhow, which way you want to do it. And I think this is the best way. If you select a guy that is as big as that also, so initially this guy too is as big as this one, you can have a consistent scaling number, you get. So if you can decide to do something like this, I'm sure you understand what I mean. So if you bring up different icons and they are kind of big the same, you can decide to say, okay, I want to scale you 0.10 times, smaller, and it's going to do that. And if it does not really work for you, because most times when I scale, I check my width and height to make sure that they are within the range I want. So if I click on these guys here, let's see what they have. They are within 24 as height, and this guy, they are 60 something. So that means that I may need to scale this a little bit to make it bigger, Then I'll press enter to bring the icons out. Remember I told you about them, like that, things like that. Oh, Ctrl Z. Now you know something is wrong. You notice there's a bigger guy here that everything is inside. So I'll bring this guy out and I'll remove it. What I just did now is the box that comes with this children icon, the bigger box, right? So the scaling does not affect that bigger box. It only affects the vector inside. And that's why we have something like that initially, right? I don't want to repeat that again so as not to take time. So I'm going to press enter here just to be sure these guys are out. And I'll delete the box, as I said. Then when I look at it, what's the width? 22, then the height is 14. Imagine now, and this guy now is 62. So I have two options. It's either I make this one smaller like that, or I make this other one as big up to 60 something. So scale, let's say I want it to be around 64 or so. So I have something similar, right? Yeah, these are the. Now again, let me try to encourage us. If you are designing, right? There sometimes it looks as if you are taking time. Why are you wasting time? I want to design faster. Please take your time. If you're just starting in the industry, right? Take your time. Do something nice. Be intentional about your design. Make sure you are using accurate size. Be consistent. And if that consistency means that you need to be slow, just to achieve something nice, please be slow. Communicate to those who you are working with. Oh, I'm unable to do this because I need to take my time to have something excellent. You understand? So at least people know that, okay, you are not playing around. You are just trying to take your time. It won't always be like that forever. If you are designing over time, you understand that there are shortcuts, there are ways to go about it. and you become better. But when you are starting, please always, take your time, understand the processes, and work around that side. Now, so I will say that I'm not going to explain further about the icons part again, how to reduce and increase it. So the next time I'm picking icons, I'm just doing the magic and boom, I'm fixing it. Now, I need to create what I call component and card. So I'm going to start with the card, and I'm going to be using auto layout. So it's more like 3-in-1, what's it called now? 3-in-1 process I'm about to do right now. So I have my icon. The next thing is the member. So let me have my member text at the bottom here. So let me make it bigger. To your right side, you see text. You can change the font. I'm going to change this font to Roboto, right? And I'm going to change the font size to 24. So to have something bigger, that's 24, and I have that. Then I'm going to duplicate this. Hold my Option key, and I will drag it down. I'm going to change this to 1,200. So let's say this particular church, they have 1,200 members in this particular church. Then the next thing I'm going to do, please pay attention. This is the first stage to auto layout. In fact, what I'm going to do first is select these two guys, member and number, and press Shift A on my keyboard to give it auto layout. You see that the moment I press auto layout is different from grouping. Grouping is when you press your Control G on your keyboard and it groups them together just so that you can move the two items together at the same time. But auto layout adds some extra efficacy to your grouping. So what it means is that you can decide to have spacing within the content which you have, either spacing from within them or to the left and right. We have what we call horizontal padding. That's the spacing to the left and right. If I should add 30 here, so I'll have 30 spacing to my left and right, you understand? And if I should do, let's say 20 to this guy, I have 20 spacing to the top and bottom. So what I'm going to do is do Control Z, because for now I'm not doing that. And why am I adding auto layout to members and 120? Let's look at our box. If you have this, and I don't want to have this consistent spacing between the icon and the member and 120. Member and 120, they are different entity entirely. I want them to be together. Why icon should be separate? Why? Because in my actual design, the spacing between member and 120, I don't want it to be the same space between them and the icon. You get? So this is what I'll do. I will auto layout this first. Then I'll select that auto layout with this icon again, like this, and I'll do another Shift A auto layout. So what does it mean? So spacing between member and this guy, when I click on it, it's just 6, and I can increase this to 10. But the spacing between them and this icon is what we have 30. So I can decide to say, no, I want to make it 25, or let's say 20. I'm sure you understand what I'm doing right now. Now this particular frame that holds everybody together, that is the real box. Yeah, if you notice, that's the box, but there is no spacing yet. So what I'll do is that the left and right padding of it, what I'll have to it is, let's play with 30. I think 30 looks good. And top and bottom is going to be 15, right? Okay, I don't like 15. Let's do 10. Okay, so it's looking well like that. I think I should make this 35. Now, sometimes when you are doing all of these, you are doing it because you feel it's going to work for your design area. Just design it out there. You can still adjust the sizes later. So what do I mean by that? Because you still need to position all of these boxes within your frame. You understand? You are still going to position it within your frame, and you need to be careful, what kind of size you are using. So I'm going to rename the whole frame of this to, I'll call it card. So once I call it card, I have that there. And so another thing you notice is that to the left and right of this card, there is the same 30 pixel, but based on my design here, the space to the left is smaller, while the space to the right is bigger. So what I'll do is come to my auto layout property. I'll come to my auto layout property to the left and right, and I will hold my control and click it. Hold my control key and click it. You notice that now it has changed the whole thing for me. I have individual numbers. And what those numbers means is that the first one is the padding top. The next one, because this is a technique used in CSS, and because I do CSS, I understand this again. So I'm going to do this. If you check me out, so the way the number goes is top, left, bottom, right. Top, left, bottom, right. So we have top 10, left 30, bottom another 10, and left is 35 again. You understand? So understanding this top, left, bottom, right process makes me know that, okay, the top is 10, the left is 35. Now this time around, I'm going to leave it on the last one. I'm going to change this one to 20. So you see that I have this as 20. The spacing here is more. So yeah, this one that is 20, you now see that to my left and right padding, now I have two numbers inside it. Why? Because they are different numbers. I have 20 and 30. I can decide to say, okay, I want to make this 45, so it's a little bit much more bigger, to have something like that. Then if I click on it, I want to fill the whole of that content with color. And I'll click on this and I'll fill it with color. And you notice that the text changes, the text disappears. Why? Because it's also white. So, but what I'll do here is that I don't have a color. Oh, so I don't have a color guide yet. I'm not working around color. So what I'll just do basically is I'll come here and change it to gray a little, I just want to make it gray. Now, because remember, we are just doing mid fidelity. We are not dealing with color yet. Just do this and I'll change the color of this, double click on it, change this color to black, and select this guy, also change the color to black also. Now I can decide to say this number also should become bold, right? Come here and make it bold. Always use fonts that has different typeface. What I mean by typeface is that if you pick a font, make sure it has different options, the slim, the thick one, because for a project, you don't need more than one font for a project, but a font that have different typeface. It has the slim, it has the light, it has the condensed if possible, it has all format of interface. Sorry, typeface that you can work with. So let me use that. I hope I'm correct with what I'm saying with typeface, but let's move on. But if you notice, this Roboto has different, variations. Okay, I think that's okay. Variations is okay. That's different variation. We have the condensed part of it. We have the tiny. If I change to italics, different ones that you can change it to. So I'm going to stick with for the numbers. I'm going to stick with bold, but that bold is not going to be italics. It's going to be just bold. I'll come back here to do bold. That's what I want. Now you see we have that. And if you want the edge of your card to be curved, what you need is come to the top section where you have the numbers. You see width, height, and here you will see something we call corner radius. I would like to use 8 for my corner radius, and I have something like this. Now, perfect. I have this card here, but I need this card multiple times. I need this card multiple times. Now, before I set it to become a component, the first thing is that I'm going to test that card. I'm going to test that. Now, this icon, I feel like this icon is too big. Of course, I can reduce it here. So what I'll do is click on my K on my keyboard, and of course, reduce it here. So I can have something like this. Nice. Now, you notice that the moment I reduce the icon, the whole content, the whole box shrink and is adjusted the size. That's the power of auto layout. Auto layout will help you, utilize the environment you've set, for the content in it, and it makes life easier. Basically, by the time you start designing more, you understand that better. All right. So I have that. This is what I want to do here. I'll click on this guy and I'll check for my colon. Then I'll position my card inside. What I want to get is based on my design, 2 cards are visible. Then the next card is hidden a little bit, right? So I need to use this to check if I can achieve that. And again, I want to just check something. So I'm going to press Alt on my keyboard. Now, these are the methods I use. So when I see that, oh, this card looks a little bit, too big, it's looking fine. If I just want to have 2 cards, it's looking fine, no problem. But I need more, so I'll delete this guy, and I will press my K on my keyboard, then reduce the old content in itself to the 3rd colon. You see, so I'm using my colon to divide now. So I want everything to be adjusted within the colon, right? 3 colons. Then, of course, hold Alt on my keyboard, then drag this guy to the 2nd one, right? Now, this is perfect. Then if I do Control D, you see that the third one is like hidden in that part like that. Oh, so I have something to work. I can decide to now select the whole of them, press K on my keyboard again, and decide to drag them to have something like this. Yeah, so I want to have something like this. So this time around, I'm not. You see the way I started. I started by using the three column to divide them. But just for me to achieve the same sketch I have here, I just drag them like that. So your design can take a different format you want it to take, and why am I doing this? Is because I still want two cards to be visible initially. Now, the curiosity there for every user is that they will now, scroll. This is what will lead us to horizontal scrolling. They'll just have to scroll that stuff, to the middle before they're able to see it like that. So I want my end users to be able to digest, one or two information at a time, just one or two information at a time. If you need to see the other things, just scroll through. That's a little bit of interaction. I want them to play around. It's part of it. You can tell them, you can say, okay, I just want them to play around also. So you see that I'm being intentional about my design. I'm not just doing it because I want to do it. I'm just trying to be more intentional. I want them to really interact at that top section. I don't want them to come to the application and just boom. Once they come to the application, there is nothing new. There's nothing big. There's nothing wow for them. So this little thing is the wow factor for me. This basic interaction, just for them to scroll and play around, left, right, and do play around like that. So I've used my first content to set how things will be. So what I'll do next is bring this guy out back. I'll bring this guy out. Then I'll select the component, create a component here. You notice that the moment I create a component, it becomes purple or true. Now, the moment you have a component and you go to assets, you'll notice that in my page 3, which is the page I'm working with, page 3, if I rename this page now, if I should come here and rename this page to class work, you see, and I go back to asset, I'll be able to say, okay, class work, and this is it. I can drag this guy out multiple times now. If I need it, I'll drag it out multiple times. Now, so let's assume I want to use unified color in all of my cards. This is where component works well. Let's assume I want to use a unified color in all of my cards. So I need to change it. So if I have this card now, let's say I have it in like 30 or 25 screens, and I need to change the whole color at once. The only way to go about that is click on it, that component, first one, and go to wherever color is, change the color. Once you change the color of this, the color of other cards will change. You get? And if I need to change the color of the text also back to white, I'll just come here, click on it, and say, okay, all of the text, the text, the title should become white. You see that, and all of the numbers should remain black. Why? Because I'm dealing with this master component. Now, but if I should come to any of the child that I have here and I change the color, it will not affect the master. If I come here and change this one now to, let's say I change it to yellow or something like this, you see that it's only going to affect this guy. And if I change this icon to white, it's just going to affect this guy alone, not any other thing. If I should come here again and decide to do down, if I decide to play around this one to and do any other thing, it's going to, if I come here and change the color of this also to, let's say blue, you see, is affecting this child component alone, not the master component. Now, what does this mean? It means that, let's say, for example, this member, the font is too small or big. I can decide to say, okay, I want it to be 22. And it's going to be 22 across board, everywhere. Consistency, remember, components help you do that. So, having done that, let me go back to what I have initially. Let me remove these colors. Let me minus the color and change it back to my gray shade. I think I have that gray. I think I'll just do this. And so I have that. Let me delete these other guys. I'll delete these other guys. Then I can keep this guy anywhere I want. Just keep him somewhere. You don't need him. Just keep him somewhere. You have the component. Then I'll come to my work area. Time is fast spent on explaining things, right? So I'll just come here and drag this guy out. place him here. Then, and of course, do the same thing. Bring another guy. 2. Right. Bring another guy out. Let me zoom that in. Bring another guy out, which is the third guy. Then, of course, bring another guy out. I have this here. Then the next thing I'm going to do is click on this one. I'll call this one children. Remember, and I'll say, okay, let's say you have 400 children. Then I'll call this one teens. Let's call it teens. I won't spell it out, or teenagers. Let's say teenagers. And we have, let's say we have, let's say the number is not accurate. Let me just use any random number, 500. And let's say, of course, adult or youth. Let's say we have youth. We can call them youth or singles. And let's say we have 500 again of this. Right. You see that I now have all of my cards. Now let me move straight up to the interaction I need to be dealing with. Let me move to the interactions I need to deal with. That's the horizontal interaction, right? Yeah. Let me move to that. So I'll select the whole of these guys. What's that? Yeah. I need to select the whole of these guys. No, something else is here, and I don't want that stuff. Something else is out there. Something else is here. So now it's picking my vectors and my frame also. I don't want that. So just bring them out. Bring them out. Don't worry about it. Bring them out. Okay. Select all the guys. Select all of them. And press your Shift A on your keyboard to auto layout. Then, of course, bring them inside again. You see, the moment I bring inside, they are by default power clip inside. And this happens because to my frame, if you check this side, there is clip content. If I uncheck the clip content, it's going to bring them out. If I check on it back, it's hides clip content. Now you need to take note of this property because we are using it in our next stuff we are designing. So I'll click on clip content and I'll drag this guy here. I'll drag this guy. Okay. Sorry. I'll take this guy. Command Z. And I'll drag this guy to this side. You see? Then this one, I'm going to drag it to the edge like this. Now you notice that the last guy is not yet showing. Why? Because the spacing between each component, the spacing between each frame that is set here by our auto layout is 25. I can reduce this guy to 10. You see that that is now showing. I reduce it to 10 and that guy is showing. Now, how do I do the interaction between these guys now? What I'll do is, now the next thing I'm going to do, okay, let me take it one at a time. The next thing I'll do is go to my prototype. Once I get to prototype, select this guy, and I'm going to say, what kind of interaction do I want to have? There is overflow here. Now, overflow is that this content inside this particular auto layout you have is too much. It's as if something is hidden. There is overflow. Then I'll say scroll horizontal. Once I do that, if I select my guy here and I pick, let me start my flow starting point 1. Okay, so I have my iPhone 8 here to do the prototype. I'll click on play and I'll go there. Now let's wait for it to load. Now with this, now I can drag some, you see the basic interaction that we have. We can drag to the left and to the right with this. We can drag to the left and to the right, right? So now the next thing you will notice is that when I drag this to the edge here, right, the content here now, the content at this edge, there is no spacing for it, which is not okay. Is not okay at all. So what I'll do is I'll come back to my work area, click on this guy, go to design, and remember that everything is inside an auto layout. Then I'll set the right side auto layout here to 24, the same way we have. So I'll click on this guy with my control key. I'm clicking on it, this guy. Top is 0. You remember top, left, bottom, right. Top is 0, left is going to be 24, bottom is going to be 0, command, and the last one is also 0. Then I'll do this. Once I do that now, it means, you see, I now have 24 for that guy. You see, I have 24 is there. It might not be visible now, but when I come to my interaction here, let me reload this. It's not working. Let's go back to it. Okay, it's 24. Left and right. Let's do 24 to this other side again. Let's do 24 to this other side and bring this guy here like that. Okay. And see, now I have it at this edge also. You see that I now have it at this edge also. Right. The mistake there was I didn't put it to the left at the other time. I forgot that. So you now see that there is spacing here also. So this top section you can play around like that here. Now the same thing is going to be for the other content. So let's move on. Remember, yeah. So what I have here is just bring this guy here, this circle, and place this guy here for my top section here. Remember this circle. Yeah. So I told you I don't know what will be there for now, but at least let's just leave this K to reduce this guy, maintain one column, or bring it. Let's bring him here. Then let's pick our text to and say John Doe, and reduce the font size to 12, which is this, and of course that is all I want. If I come to my prototype section, you see I have my John Doe at that top section, and it's working fine. Now it's not at the edge. I can select these two guys and of course move them to the edge like this. And of course, usually what I do is select the two guys and do auto layout Shift A. So at least I can use that to adjust sizes within them, the spacing between, and of course leave this guy like that. Now if I need to play around, I can start to say, okay, this font size is too small. Let's make it 14, at least so that it's more visible for our end users to see. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is, so let's say, for example, I really want to play around and I need to move this guy to the other side. I'll just select that icon and say, and my arrow key left and right, I can play around left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right to move them around. So I have this, and of course, let's check the prototype. So we have it is much more visible now in that. So all right, so that being said, let's look at our sketch again. The next thing we have, you see, we have these dotted lines. It's a long process for that, so I'm going to skip it for now. So we have this quick line, and we have another adult attendance and children attendance. Now, what does this mean? It means that once you want to take the attendance, you click on this guy. It helps you take the attendance. Also, you click on this guy. It helps you take the attendance for children. Then let's do that. So what I'll do is come to this John Doe. Click on it, and I'll just Alt key to drag. I want to duplicate that. So I finally got this guy out. Then I'll make this one. It's going to be 18. I want it to be big, so I want to say quick links. That's all I'm going to do, and I'll position it here. Then remember component auto layout. So if you look at this guy too, it's looking like a auto layout kind of a thing, icon and the text, and there's a box, So we are going to follow the same practice for that. But this time around, let's see, what are we going to use for adult attendance? So I'll go to my icon, new file, look for if there is attendance. So there's nothing like attendance. So let's look for roster. No, we don't want that. All right, so I think we should just go for, let's do register. So we have something register also. Let's say registration. Okay. So there's not icon for that. So I think I'll just make use of, let's make use of, I don't want to use people again. Let's make use of, okay. What should I use? 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 Okay, so let me say the attendance is people also, but I don't want to use people. So let's just play around with people. Let's see. can use something else. If there's another way people is being used here, I'll make use of it. Okay, I think I should just go with this. I think this works. This is people with pen. Okay, now this is people with pen. So I just click enter to bring out the vector. Remember, always do this. Don't just jump and do, because at this stage now, what I'm about to do requires that I have the icon standing on its own, right? And I click again, press K on my keyboard. I need to increase this a little. Based on my sketch, I have add dot attendance. So I'll come here and I'll select this guy. Option key to duplicate this guy. And I will say attendance. Yeah, which is which other thing is that? Is add dot attendance, right? Add dot attendance. Okay. All right, add dot attendance. I'll just do add dot attendance. Yeah, so I'll select the two guys, auto layout, shift A. Then instead of 18, I want it to be 16, not 18. In fact, I want it to be 14. And shouldn't be bold, should be medium, not bold. Now, if I click on these two guys, see what happens is as if the content, this particular text is up, is not positioned. Now, if you check your auto layout, you notice that there is positioning icon here for aligning content. So I'm going to drag it to the middle so I have it all aligned like that. So yeah. So I'll come here, rename the frame, and I'll call this attendance. Because all of these actions, major actions for that, should I call that attendance, or let me call it quick actions? Let me call it quick actions. So I'll call it quick actions, right? Good. Then we have this all together, and I want to give spacing around them to my left and right. So left and right, I want to give spacing of 15. Right, that is good. The top, I just want to do 10 because I don't want it to be too big. In fact, 10 is too big. Like, let's do 8. I think, yeah. Then, of course, the color, I want it to be white for now, and I will corner radius to 8. So 8 is too much. I want 5, right? So I have something like this. You see, my auto layout just helped me create a box. And it's the same thing with button. This also looks like button. And of course, it's button because it's taking action. You are clicking on it to perform a particular action. So it's a button. See, it's looking nice. If I need to change the direction of the icon, I'll just click on the icon itself and my arrow key to the right to move it back and forth like that, like that. Now, we are still going to give some other, adjustment, maybe what we call org, content, fix. But before we do that, remember how I positioned the other one. Bring it into your work area first, Command Z. Bringing it to your work area first. Okay, this time around, I'm going to change the color so at least it's going to stand out. Change this color a little bit to gray also. I'll bring this guy here. You see that it's very small. It's looking big when I zoom out. So it's very small. So what I want to do is that I want it to occupy from this left to this right. So press K on my keyboard and I'll do this. I don't want it to, this is what all I want. Then I'll click here to centralize it to the middle. Then I'll bring this quick link back like this. Now, when you look at this, I want to reduce it a little. Yeah. I want to do something like this. I really want to do something like this. Yeah, this is what I want. So I have this adult attendance. Then I'll click and make this auto layout. I'll make it auto layout. Once I make it auto layout, I'm moving it away from there. Just place it somewhere. Go back to my asset and bring this guy back. Well, I'm doing that because so if I need to do any further adjustment, I know where to go to do that adjustment that will affect everything. Then I'll bring more guys in. I'll bring 2. I'll bring another one, third one. I'll bring the 4th one into my work area. So I have all of them. Now I can decide to come here also and do children. Children attendance. Now you notice that when I now do children attendance, this thing becomes bigger, which is what I don't want. I don't want this to happen. I want to have a fixed width. So I'll go back to my original component and I'll click on this guy and I'll say, I want you to be fixed width. The moment I say fixed width, if I come back here, you see what happened? Children component becomes smaller back. You notice I didn't do that to the child itself. No, I didn't do that to the child. I did that to the master component because I know that there is tendency I want to, include another stuff here, and that one too is bigger. So if I only do it to this guy, it's going to affect this guy alone. Then when I come to this other one, it will not affect it. So I'll come here and do teenager. You see what happened now? That this guy is now, the content does not have the what's it called, the left and right, what's it called now, the padding disappeared because this guy too is now bigger, and in width everything is okay, but the padding to the left and right. So what really happens is that this other guy inside this one, I can decide to say this should be field container. When I say it should be a field container, then what it means is that when I turn it to field container, this is what happened. Instead of you trying to expand it, move it to the next line if possible. Right? And when I do that, the height changes. Why? I can allow the height to change, but I don't want the width to change. Remember, because we are scrolling up and down, the height can change, but the width should not change. Right? Because the width is more like a fixed section, but the height, we can always have increased height and all of those. Now, for you to have a proper work area like that, or to maintain some good stuff, you can decide to say your font should be a little bit even reduced, so that will help you out with something. So I make it 18. So this guy we have teenager attendance like this because that teenager attendance is very long. So those are basics of auto layout kind of a thing. Now, in this case now, I want to select every of these guys and do Shift A, also the same way I had Shift A there. But this time around, I'm going to click on my clip content and I will drag this guy up and close to this stage, just this stage like that, so that every content is inside. And I can decide to say, okay, the stuff in should be 18, so I have something like that. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because usually you see in some of your apps that you have content, then at the point you are able to scroll and other things are still down, and those other things are just static. But the particular frame where you are working with, when you are that work area or that section you are working with, you can scroll the content within it. So it's the same logic. Once you do auto layout, make sure you click the content inside. And of course, we are going to now say prototype section. Now, if I come here, nothing is happening yet. You notice this one can scroll, but this time around, this guy is stopping here. So I'll go back to my design, prototype, then I'll say overflow. Of course, remember overflow because there is a lot, so it has overflow. Then I'll do vertical. Once I do vertical, that time I'm now saying you can scroll through your content. You see that you can now scroll your content within that work area and you have your content. Now, when I look at my design here, it's as if, oh, is it not too small like that? The content within, can't I make it bigger? So it is left for you to use your discretion to say, okay, I want this content to be a little bit bigger. I think it's too small because I feel like, so I can decide to say, come back here. I can decide to say, okay, if I want to make it bigger. So I'm not going back to the component section again. I'll just do my key on my keyboard, press key on my keyboard, and do this, centralize, and do this back, just to show you something. You see that now it's kind of bigger, this way, and you see that you can do top and bottom and all of those stuffs you want to do like that. Now the last part is the down part where you want to do the menu at the bottom, but I don't have my menu in what I sketched, so I'm going to leave it at that stage. So basically, I think I'm going to stop here for tonight, just so that we will be able to practice later, try to watch the video. These things look so simple, but these are things that will make your life easier. If you're working on a mobile app and you have a lot of content, how do you hide those content so that the scroll section, there is going to be a scroll and you'll be able to hide more content within it and all of those, for that. So I'm going to be stopping here tonight, and this is just the basic introduction to Figma. We just play around with a mobile app, right? And of course, adding color to all of these things shouldn't be hard for us. Just click on whatsoever place. So let's say, example, I want to change the color here. Just come to color and I'll change this to red if I need to. And if I go to my work, you see it's changed to red. And of course, keep playing around, and you can do your so if I need to continue to work on this, I can decide to click on this guy and say, okay, click content, show the other guys, and let's just play around with and let's say this one too is this, and let's say the first one, which is it's like that of the magenta. Then I'll click on this and I'll say click content back. Of course, then I have this all here like that. Okay, so we are not doing a lot of a fizzy something, but this is something that if you can just go around and you are able to do this, it's going to improve your work as a designer. This is not just design, this is interaction. It's more like I'm thinking for the users. It's beyond just colors and everything, and that's why I'm focusing on it. Make sure your UX skills is very strong. Think about your users. How do you want to make life easier for them? Think less of the aesthetics sometimes. Think more of how they are going to use it. Then, of course, you can always go back to the aesthetics. Now, if I need color, beautiful color, I can always go to Behance, go to Dribble, then look at color combinations of some other stuff and work with it. Or go to coloralt.co to get my color so that I can set my color to 60/30 format. Those are other things you need to understand about colors. But for now in this class, what we just did is focus on the UX part of this project and make things, interaction of the app interface easier for them. And of course, that's where we'll be stopping today. And I hope you enjoyed the class. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Amazing session. I want to believe that a lot of us that joined this session could see how Mr. Elijah was able to take us through. Mr. Elijah, your camera is not up yet. He was able to take us through a one-on-one session on how to handle product design. Now we can see that using Figma, it's a very amazing tool that is powerful for creating interface for both mobile and both web app. Now, product design, like we said in our last week's session, is design that we're focusing on has to do with digital product design. So I believe that we had a great time. So while I'm rounding up this session and asking Mr. Elijah one or two questions, if you have any question for this session, please put it on the chat. And also I want to assure those that are joining this live session that this session is going to be uploaded on YouTube. All you have to do is go to YouTube, search for Ace Creative Academy, and we're going to be uploading it on our YouTube channel, which is Ace Creative Academy. So you can watch this tomorrow before 5 p.m. It's going to be uploaded, so you can practice over and over again. Now, I'm going to recapitulate and reemphasize what Mr. Elijah said earlier on. If you want to, one of the best ways to learn as a designer in product design or graphic design is that you go to websites like Behance.com, Dribble.com, Pinterest.com, and download various product user interface, and you get to study them, look at the color combinations that they use. This in your journey, because one of the major problems I realized that fresh product designers always have sometimes is not how to create the interface. Some of them is the use of color, especially if the UI UX professional does not have a design background. So they always have problems with the use of colors. So for people that on this call that have learned how to use Figma or are going to be practicing via YouTube now how to combine colors, one of the ways to solve that problem is go to Dribble.com, Pinterest.com, Behance.com. These are portfolio-based websites where designers, the UI UX professionals, product design, post some of their works. Go there, download templates, and just see how they use colors. And you can also go to color.adobe.com. There you see an online review. You get what I'm saying right now. And let's say you want to work with a company that has a brand logo called green. Put the hexadecimal colors. What are hexadecimal colors? They are color codes You understand? So that represents particular colors in design. Put the color that you want there, and what Adobe will do for you is that it's going to give you complementary colors that would work with it for your product design. That's color.adobe.com. Now, one thing, and the reason why people like joining our sessions is that they are always 100% practical, taken by real people that do these things for a living. Do you get what I'm saying right now? And you get on-hands experience. So I'm waiting for people to ask questions. Now, we promise that this is going to be a 1 hour, 2 hour sessions. That's why Mr. Elijah had to round up. I would have loved us to, I know a lot of you say, Mr. Demola, Mr. Elijah, can you continue? Can you go on and on and on? We would love to do that, but we plan that this is going to be a 2 hour session, and Mr. Elijah tried to maximize to teach you what he wants. But if you want to continue this course, you want to learn more, you want to take a full course in product design, you want to disturb Mr. Elijah back to back. Do you get what I'm saying right now? All you need to do is go to acecreativeacademy.com. The link is going to be put in the description for those watching on YouTube, and register for one of our courses. When you go there, you'll see courses. Under courses, pick UI UX. UI UX is 1 month course, and you get a 4 weeks course where he's going to teach you how to design users interface. But I want to do something more elaborate, which is product design, which is understanding the business of it, understanding the design thinking of UI UX, and a whole lot of other things that is beyond just UI UX, which is the product design of interface design itself. You can join our much more detailed program course. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So on the website, acecreativeacademy.com, you can see the details of the course, but you can just indicate that I want to do this course in June. Just register. You don't need to make any payments. You understand what I'm saying right now? Our program manager is going to give you a call to know when you want to start your courses, to follow up whether you want to do online or physical class. But please ensure you put in your details. Like I said earlier on, one of the most sought after people in the tech industry today are product designers. They are highly paid. Mr. Elijah, can you give me an example of how much in dollars or in Nigerian naira product designers are paid averagely?
Okay, so for in US dollars, I think we do 65 yearly, which if you divide that is around $6,000 per month.
Exactly.
5,000. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can get a job as a product designer for 60,000 yearly. And the beauty is that if you're fantastic, there are a lot of product designers that I follow online. I don't want to mention names, that are located in Nigeria and they work for global brands. Do you get what I'm saying right now? Remotely. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know I follow 1 or 2 on Instagram. They're not based abroad, they are based in Nigeria. So if you are looking to transit from another industry to tech, or you're a graphic designer that you want to transition to tech, what we always advise graphic designers that if you want to go into tech, one of the pathways to go through is to learn UI UX, then product design. Why? With your design background, you can use that foundation in design, also in tech, to design users interface. So Mr. Elijah, do you have any other thing you want to add to this?
Yeah, nothing.
All right.
Okay, for junior
fantastic.
basically, I think junior role does around $1,500 to $2,000 per month. So yeah, so I've been privileged to just do like $1,000 because for gigs, even for gigs, you can do like $1,000 for gigs, depending. And of course, if you don't really want to work with people, doing your freelance, if you can, there's a way you can go around your Upwork. Can do your Upwork accounts, and of course, if you can showcase your skills very well on Upwork, you can get a lot of design. There are a lot of ways. I think this is a discussion that we can just put in the ACE group, so we can talk about how you can get your gigs on Upwork, because there's a lot of tweak to it. Sincerely, there's a lot of tweak to it, so I wouldn't just want to push it out there like that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Great. Great. So he's saying that there are a lot, 1 or 2 hacks that you can do in Upwork. It's not just all about just sign up on Upwork. I know people that have tried it and they've never gotten one job. You get what I'm saying right now. So there are 1 or 2 hacks that you have to put to get yourself out there. So people say, "Oh, you say become freelancers, go to freelancer.com or Upwork.com and all that," but not, they don't. I don't get jobs. So there are hacks to it. The same way, if you want to get noticed on LinkedIn, you have to put in some hacks. So we also have hacks and all those things. But like he said, when you join the WhatsApp group, for those on YouTube, it's going to be posted on the link below. For those on this call, obviously, we're going to be sending it to you via email. You understand that? So just join the community And as long as you are signed up to Ace Creative Connect, you would always have latest details of all the informations that we have basically in the our community. Now we have a couple of training coming up next month, and I'm pleased to announce to you that Mr. Elijah has also agreed. Are you getting me now? That he's going to be doing what we call advanced courses for product designers monthly. He is going to be doing advanced courses for product designers monthly. You understand what I'm saying? But if you are not if you have not taken the courses, it might be difficult for you to be a part of. So that's why I'm advising you right now that please go to acecreativeacademy.com/register to register today. You might not want to start in June. You might want to start in July or August. Just go register first. You understand? So what we can do is that our program manager will add you to what we call our register list and follow up with you to ensure that you are part of the course. And the payment is always very flexible. And like I said, Ace Creative Connect major purpose is to walk you through. Mr. Elijah is our in-house UI UX and product designer faculty. He also owns his company, which is Innovation Creed. You understand? For those on Instagram, we're going to put in all his social media handles. You can basically follow him on social media. You can use to follow him on social media. So please ensure that you follow Mr. Elijah on the various social media and YouTube channel, and that is being posted on this YouTube channel. So thank you very much for joining once again. It's great to have you here. Like I always say, that we cannot do all these calls without you. Time is the universal currency that is unquantifiable. Even though this is a free event, one of the value that you've brought to the table is your time. But it's not all about us doing these free events for you. We believe in you, and we believe that you can grow in your creative and tech journey. Ensure that by tomorrow, before 5 p.m. GMT+1, when we upload this on our YouTube channel, ensure that you go and practice. Watch last week's course training is already there. Watch last week and watch this week training, and let that be the foundation that you are going to use to enter product design. Then beyond that, register for the course today. It's just a 1-month course or the 3-month product design course, 1 month for UI UX, 3-month product design course to start your creative and tech journey. You've been delaying these things over and over and over again. The time is now. So thank you very much once again for joining this session. We appreciate everybody for joining. Since nobody has any question, I would like to appreciate everybody for joining. So thank you so much for everybody that have joined. We see you. Mr. Yusuf, Didon, Peter, we see you. Israel, we see you. Emmanuel, we see you. Ola, we see you. Fashion, we see you. Oluwarotimi, Olorun Tomi, we see you. Moses, we see you. Ebuka, we see you. John Terry, that is always joining our session. I definitely see you. And a whole lot of other people. If I continue mentioning names right now, we might not live here today. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. In the month of May, we have a lot of back-to-back training. We have Pixels Pulse that is coming in, and we are also going to be having trainings on artificial intelligence, data science, and artificial intelligence. So ensure that you check your account on Ace Creative Connect, post things, show your works, share your works, collaborate with other creative professionals in the community, on WhatsApp, on Telegram, on Ace Creative Connect, and above all, keep winning in all you do. Like I always end our session, in everything you do, keep acing it in all you do, and ensure that you keep winning. Have an amazing weekend and an amazing week ahead. See you on the next one. Cheers.